Good morning, everyone. Welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and welcome to a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Wednesday, September 17th, 2003. The City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Meetings are open to the public, and we do invite you to join us. For members of the public unable to attend council meetings, we can be viewed live on your cable station, Channel 35. We can also be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage or heard via council phone. It is nearly 10:25 a.m. and we have 9 members present, one shy of a quorum, but we do have one special presentation scheduled for today. Let me recognize Councilmember Garcetti at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, and friends. It gives me great pleasure today to invite you all to what is a new but growing tradition here in Los Angeles, the San Gennaro Festival in Hollywood, which will begin tomorrow night on Thursday at 7 p.m. Hollywood and Vine, if you just go half a block north across from Capitol Records. You probably have seen in movies the procession of the Feast of San Gennaro in places like, what's that other city called? New York. But here in Los Angeles, we're building a great tradition with the Italian community. Last year, I remember we had Aztec dancers, we had people of every color, every tradition, every neighborhood in Los Angeles come out to this incredible festival, and you'll be hearing a little bit more about this year's festival. It's going to be from the 17th to the 21st, so Thursday through Sunday. Great family events, a fair, lots of good Italian food. And Joe Sorrell, who many of you know, has been one of the driving forces behind this. We also have Doug DeLuca, who is really the main force behind making this happen. And I want to thank them for their contributions, both to the Italian American community here, but also to the entire city of Los Angeles. I went last year, and trust me, I know we go to a lot of events as elected officials, and some of them are more fun than others. This one was amazing. You leave with a good full stomach of pasta, Italian food, with great tradition, and I encourage all of you on Saturday to actually join the procession of San Gennaro, which is something enacted throughout Italy, in many cities here in America, but has finally come to the heart of Los Angeles and Hollywood, where people from around the world can come and see it. So with that, I'm going to ask Doug to say a couple words, and Joe Sorrell as well. But on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I want to congratulate the organizers for making this possible. There's going to be some great celebrities there as well. Jimmy Kimmel, who has his show just down the street, will be there. Tommy Lasorda, of course, LA's own Tommy Lasorda, and others will be there. So we encourage you to come out from the 17th to 21st, starting this Thursday night at 7 p.m. And on behalf of the city, just wanted to offer this scroll, which has the entire City Council signature and the mayor's as well. Congratulations, and we're looking forward to a great festival.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. President and Councilman, thank you so much for having me here. I'm Doug DeLuca. I'm the chairman of San Gennaro. This is our president, Greg Cannizzaro, who came with me. We are all very proud and honored that you gave us this proclamation, and we thank you. San Gennaro is something that is dear to our hearts. Greg and I both grew up, as did many of our board members, in New York or on the East Coast, and growing up Italian, the San Gennaro Festival was a big part of us and our childhood. What it meant to us was it meant a sense of community, it meant a strong sense of family values, and it was something that we sort of missed out here for a long time, so we took matters into our own hands and decided to bring the festival out here. Last year was our first annual. We had a wonderful success, and this year our second annual has grown tenfold. I'd like to extend an invitation to all of you to join us this weekend. It starts this Thursday night, tomorrow at 7 p.m. It is a gala VIP event. It is across the street from Capitol Records, under the stars, beautiful night with stars like Tony Danza, Frank Stallone, Lou Rawls, Bill Conti, all performing. And then the feast continues through the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., free to the general public, to inspire that sense of community and that sense of camaraderie that Italians have long traditionalized here and all over the world. So I thank you guys again. I invite all you to come, and we hope to be doing this for years and years and years. Thank you very much. Eric, thank you.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you, and Mr. President, and these distinguished gentlemen, in naming all those artists. You forgot one of the greatest that I know. He's young, but he's awfully talented on the 88s, Eric Garcetti. He can play the piano, and I hope you get him up there. No, you perform every day, Eric, and I think you do a great job. And I think it's very exciting. I went to the event last year. It starts at Christ the King Church, with a mass at 9 a.m. at Rossmore and Vine Street, and proceeds up Vine into Hollywood, which is a wonderful connection, and this is nice to see this. But I think the real message here is here you have some fellas who came from New York. And one thing that's great about Los Angeles is people put their own splash into what they see the city of Los Angeles is. In the past, there were state days. The Mexican Independence Day was yesterday. There used to be Iowa State picnics in Griffith Park, celebrations from people from all over. And it always is transforming. That's about Los Angeles. And this is a great transformation, this very special feast and festival, at a perfect location. And members, just to let you know, if you do get a chance to go by, it's the right size. It's not 100,000 people. It's 5,000, 10,000 people moving in and around right near the metro stop, so people could take public transit if they want to. But it's a wonderful festival, and one of the great things about Los Angeles is, you know, we have a great public library system. We've got the greatest collections of books. But this city has the greatest collection of neighborhoods, and you can taste any one of them. And it will be a great taste this weekend at, just north of Vine Street at this great festival. So congratulations to you, and it's good to see that you fellas come from another place and then make your input here in Los Angeles to bring in a little something good from the East Coast. Congratulations. And congratulations to the saint of this chamber, John Farrar, who this is named after, who would be sitting up there smiling big time at you young guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Labange, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Weiss, Sine, Padilla, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The council is officially in session. And as Mr. Labange is approaching the podium for a picture, I understand he has an introduction to make this morning.
I'd like to introduce...
Smile for the camera. The microphone is yours, Mr. Labange.
No, Mr. President, thank you very much. And every day is a special day at City Hall, and we have a very special class from 3rd Street Elementary School. They're all right here. Please stand and recognize 3rd Street Elementary School in the heart of Hancock Park, where Joe Sorrell's children went to school. We want to thank you all here. It's very special to have children, and what's so nice is they come and know this is their building, their hall, and one day one of you may be sitting here contributing to the city of Los Angeles. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Labange, did you ask them which one is going to be the future mayor?
Which one is going to be the future mayor of Los Angeles? Raise your hand. Good job, right up here. Good, I like that. Okay, good. Thank you, Alex.
All right. Madam Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Labange moves and Mr. Smith seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Parks moves and Mr. Ludlow seconds.
Before beginning the regular agenda, there are several items that have been requested to be continued. Item number 1, the applicant requests continuance to October 1st.
Colleagues, request for continuance on item number 1 for 2 weeks to October 1st. Is there any objection? Seeing none, item 1 is continued.
And there's also a request to continue item number 24 to Tuesday, which is September 23rd.
Colleagues request to continue item 24 for 1 week, also without objection.
On the regular agenda, items noticed for public hearing, item number 2 is a continued plum report and ORD, and I believe there are cards on the item. Do you wish to hold that?
We do have a card on item number 2. We'll call that item special.
Items for which public hearings have been held, items 3 through 22. There are 2 reports on item number 22. However, they concur with an additional recommendation. If council wishes, they can adopt both.
Colleagues, items 3 through 22 now before us. Public hearings have been held on these items. A motion from the floor would be required to reopen the public hearings. Do we have any requests for specials? Mr. Cardenas.
Yes. Item 7 for, on behalf of Ms. Han.
Item 7, call special for Ms. Hahn. Any other specials? Items 3 through 22. Mr. Villaraigosa.
Item 26, special.
Okay, we'll get there in just a minute. Any other specials? Items 3 through 22. 3 through 22. Madam Clerk, let's hold items 3, 4, and 5 on the desk, because we do await 12 members today. With 11 members present, let's open the roll on items 6 through 22, with the exception of item 7. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 23 through 44, and 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, these items are before us today. Items 23 through 44 now before us. I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on these items, so we shall leave the public hearings open and closed. Item 24 has been continued. Item 26, called special by Mr. Villaraigosa. Mr. Weiss.
I'd make a request that we receive and file item 34.
Okay, colleagues, for motion to receive and file item 34. Mr. Garcetti. Okay. Any other specials? Items 23 through 44.
Mr. President, 23, 25 are commissioners. Do you wish to take those up at the same time, or do you wish to hold those on the
Are they
desk?
for the same commission?
25.
25 and 23, they're commission appointments. We'll hold those on the desk, because we need to put these nominees, break them over the coals a little bit before we confirm them. So 23 and 25 will be held on the desk. Items 27 through 44, any other specials? No other specials. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, we'll possibly re-vote on the ordinances when we get 12 members present. Item 34 is received and filed. Next items, please.
Items 45 5 through 49 are closed sessions. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Let's hold all closed session items on the desk. That would bring us to item 50. We do have cards on item 50. We'll call it special. Mr. Garcia wishes to be heard on item 50 as well. Next item, please.
Do you wish to take up the commissioners at this time? That would be 23, 25, and I believe 26 was called special by Councilman Villaraigosa.
Items 23, 25, and 26. If the commission nominees will please come forward.
And 23 is Alexander Rubalcaba. He's confirmation for the Board of Animal Services Commissioners.
Yeah, we'll announce it. We have a couple commissions represented here. Welcome to all three of you. Colleagues, we have items 23, 25, and 26 before us. We do have committee reports recommending approval of all three commission nominees.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there members wishing to be heard on these items? Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't know we were going to do all three. I can merge my speech into one. First of all, I'd like to welcome Valerie as the President of the Public Works, who has had a long-term history in this city of public service and goes all the way back to her father, who was a role model of mine as our first black Postmaster General in this region. And she has carried on that legacy, has done a great job in my short tenure being in the council as providing services from Public Works, and we're looking forward to fulfilling that commitment to the community, bringing Public Works out into the 8th District at our constituent center. And so we just appreciate what you've done. And although it's a tough job, I think you have given some great guidance to Public Works as the President and before, and we just look forward to working with you in the future. And so I thank you for continuing that commitment.
Thank you very much.
And also, Ms. Chappelle, you've done a great job. Civil Service, one of the toughest commissions in the city of LA, dealing with all of our personnel issues, our employment issues, finding ways in which we can streamline it, bring people on board, and also process the testing for promotions. And then on the negative side, handle all the grievances and issues with the Employee Relations Board. And it's a tough job. And I think the fact that you do that for free is something in which we certainly are indebted to you. I'm sure that you have a great number of things that you have going on in your life that you'd rather do than read all those reports for those meetings. But you have also done a tremendous job of streamlining that personnel process. And I think the city and its employees appreciate it, particularly those that are waiting to be promoted and want to go through that process, but as important, those that want to become city employees, that find a way to get in the system, that with times we had waited maybe a year or two for people to get through a process, you streamlined it significantly. So I also want to say thank you for your service, and particularly, I don't think we can beat the price in the sense of that you are volunteering your service. And Alexander's, the best thing about Alexander is an SC fan. And I want to make sure that Jack Weiss and Wendy Gruhl understand that. Maybe one of our youngest commissioners, but probably one of the toughest jobs dealing with the animal services. I've not seen a commission that has more special interest groups that are interested in dealing with those issues, and you're going to have your hands full sorting out a balance between how the city deals with the animal services issues, how they deal with the issues of addressing concerns in the community, how we deal with spade and neutering, how we deal with a variety of issues. You will learn more terms in the next month or so than you ever thought. So I just want to welcome you, and certainly you're starting quite early in your public service, which I think is a good message for young people in this community, that you can be a public servant at a very young age. So welcome to city service.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Villaraigosa.
Yes, I rise, Mr. President, and members, to speak on behalf of the reappointment of Valerie Lynn Shaw. I've been a Shaw supporter for nearly a decade, and I can tell you that in the short few months that I've been here on the council, I've come to see just how effective and what a leader Ms. Shaw is. You know, it is almost disturbing that, I mean, it's a great, obviously a great breakthrough, but almost disturbing that Ms. Shaw is the first African American female on the Public Works Board since 1905. It's disturbing in the city that the most diverse in the nation. It's a great thing, and that we finally broke that barrier, and I can tell you that she's a great example of why diversity is so important. She wasn't just a pioneer in terms of breaking through. She's helped to launch a number of very important programs at the Public Works Board. The Neighborhood Street Improvement Plan that upgrades the city's streets was one of her projects. She facilitated the creation of the Below It, On It, Above It campaign that helps educate our communities about the critically important services of the city's Department of Public Works. Very importantly, members, Mr. Reyes spoke to that without actually talking about a project labor agreement yesterday on the LAX initiative. Essentially, you described a PLA. Well, this woman here helped to put together a very innovative project labor agreement at the East Central Interceptor project, which helps to provide access to career-oriented employment opportunities in the construction trades for at-risk youths and adults and people living in the community. She led the Department of Public Works in undertaking efforts in providing technical assistance to other countries, including Mexico, and she's just been a great leader, and we're so excited to have her, and I'm excited that Mr. Hahn has reappointed her.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Council.
Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I had some remarks I wanted to give, and then Mr. Parks threw that curveball at me. You know, the Harvard thing was already problematic enough for me, Mr. Rubalcaba, and then here comes Mr. Parks with the USC thing. But I think I'll just do my duty and overlook both of those issues and tell you what I told your committee, which is I'm really looking forward to seeing your work on this commission and to seeing the impact that you personally are going to have on the way this city deals with its animal population. And I know if history and genealogy is any guide, this might be the first city commission you serve on, but it certainly won't be the last. I have every expectation. I look forward to all of that. I want to congratulate and thank all of you for agreeing to serve, and I just want to particularly thank you, Ms. Shaw, for all the help you've given me and my office in the past couple years dealing with some of the weightiest projects that we have in the city. I mean, I think we were together, you know, not that long ago when we did the groundbreaking for Santa Monica Boulevard, and they're doing a lot of work there, and you and your office are working very closely with my office and the contractor. It's an enormous project. It's unfortunately an enormous inconvenience for the people who live and work around there, but thanks to your efforts, I know it'll be done just as quickly as possible, and it'll look marvelous when all is done. So thanks to all of you for what you have done and what you will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to rise in support first of Ms. Shaw. As Councilmember Villaraigosa mentioned just a minute ago, just an amazing history of service to Los Angeles. But I wanted to focus on something very recent. Ms. Shaw has been doing some great things with the Public Works that I think have been very proactive. This past weekend had a great opportunity to join you at Baldwin Hills Library, where you actually brought the department out for a community meeting. Many of the residents were there, had never seen anything like that. They were used to coming down to City Hall to meet with department directors and with key staff. And you know, we're talking a lot about getting the communities much more involved in city government, and when you bring it out to them, it really puts, it allows us to walk the walk, and I appreciated your leadership on that, and I've also appreciated your leadership throughout the many years to Los Angeles, and so I'm excited, hopeful that the other colleagues will support you, and I'm pleased that Mayor Hahn is resubmitting your appointment. I wanted to put you on the spot, because I know you're quick on your feet, and just wanted to give you a minute to say what you think right now is perhaps your proudest achievement with the Department of Public Works and the board, and sort of how you see the next year unfolding. So I'm putting you on the spot, Ms. Shaw.
Well, my proudest achievement, I think, has been just to be given the opportunity to go out and educate the residents on how to access city services. I come from a community development background. I've brought in that spirit of community economic development to my job as a commissioner and as president, and that involves construction. Community economic development involves construction, job creation, job training programs, business development, and public education. So I think that theme about going out and educating people is something I'm most proud of. I'm also very proud of the project labor agreement that's associated with the EASTS project. I hope to have one on the LA Police Headquarters that focuses on local hiring, that requires the primes to hire people who live in the city, and also to train people in the city. On the EASTS project, we were able to actually train 30 at-risk or near at-risk young gentlemen in tunnel training, and as a part of that process, they were grandfathered into the labor's union. So here we have 30 people who wouldn't have had a chance really to work, and now they're in the union. So those are some of the things that I'm proud of.
No, and that, thank you, Mr. President, for holding my time. And that project has been a great example of city employees getting desperately needed public improvement that obviously has impacted public health or will impact public health as it moves forward. So I'm very happy to support your appointment, and I wanted to also just refer to Ms. Chappelle for one moment. Many of us here today obviously haven't had the wouldn't have had the opportunity to be here had it not been for civil service. There was a time in this city when African Americans, when Latinos, when Asians couldn't work for the city of Los Angeles, couldn't work for government. There was also a time when women couldn't join the police department or the fire department. And we're still quite a ways away from being at parity with the overall population. Great issues with our consent decrees. Speaker Herb Wesson, who thinks the world of you, mentioned to me at one point that he thought we had a real modern-day civil rights champion with you on the commission, and I wanted to utter those words here today and congratulate you on all the work you've done and offer you the same opportunity to sort of brag about what you think may in fact be the next year and those things that you hold most near and dear.
Well, thank you very much, Councilman, for your kind words. And I think that my role on the Civil Service Commission has been to see that the civil service rules have been complied with. Many times in the fervor to take care of the details, to get through the backlog and everything, sometimes the details, as they're referred to, are overlooked, but they involve principles of fairness and due process to which everyone is entitled in terms of discipline and in terms of obtaining their jobs. So I really like being on that commission. As Councilman Park said, it is a lot of work, it's a lot of reading, but I really enjoy it very much in terms of making sure that the civil service rules are complied with, fairness to all the applicants and the employees, and also being quite mindful of liability for the city when these rules are not complied with. So I think it's a very important position. I take it very seriously, and I'm very honored to serve. Thank you.
Yes, I'm the president.
And she's also the president of the Civil Service Commission.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. I asked a question of Mr. Rubalcaba, who's your daddy? I had to ask that. Who's your daddy? Do you ride a motorcycle?
I do not, sir.
Good, good. Because your dad and I do, and that's dangerous. So you're obviously smarter than both your dad and me, and that you're not doing that. This is your first entrance into any kind of civil
This
commission?
is my first commission and my first service to the community, yes.
I think I met you one time at the Coliseum at a football game.
I think we have met before, yes.
And I don't remember who was playing, but I think SC won. We were in that nice area where Councilman Parks has a seat. Anyway, I know that you come from a family of good city environment, Your dad's been around for a long time, working hard for the city of Los Angeles in different capacities, and it's a pleasure to see you follow in his footsteps. And I know that you're young, but you've got a lot of knowledge and a lot of desire, a lot of ability. So we'll see that blossom over the years.
Thank you, sir. I'm very eager to serve.
Thank you. You're on the threshold of the future. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And if I didn't vote for you, then your dad would kill me, so I'm definitely going to vote for you. Karen Chappelle, the Civil Service Commission has been very smooth. We haven't had any upheavals like we've seen in the past. It's been very smooth, very efficient. People haven't been complaining about the inequities and the problems, so I congratulate you on the reappointment to the Civil Service Commission. As was previously stated, it's very, very important. As the chair of the Personnel Committee, I know how important the Civil Service Commission is and the good job you and your commissioners do, so congratulations. And
Thank you.
You obviously have my support. Valerie, I remember Charter Commission. You were down there testifying.
Yes.
You were the Public Works.
I can't forget it,
And then we had a meeting in the San Fernando Valley in my district, and the commission came out and met with the folks out in the 3rd District. Now, you've done a great job
Thank you.
with that commission, moving forward, along with your colleagues. I know Janice Wood, who handles my area, and your president, Ms. Stein. So there's this whole assortment of teamwork that makes it happen, whether it's Public Works or Animal Services or Civil Service Commission, and I applaud all of you for your contribution, and it really impresses me when things run nice and smooth, we don't get the complaints. And believe me, the constituents complain when things don't go smooth, and the civil service employees complain when things don't go smooth, and the unions complain when things don't go smooth. But things are running nice and smooth, so I congratulate you all. You got my support, and you are on the threshold of an exciting career. Just stay away from motorcycles, and you'll be a good kid. All right, congratulations to you all.
Mr. Labange.
No, thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners to be. Thank you for your service to Los Angeles. I greatly appreciate what I believe is Mayor Hahn's directive that commissions meet in the community, which is so important. At certain times of the year, you go out and meet in the community, and the regional approach to Los Angeles government, being closer to the people. On the civil service, Dennis Zine, it's not running smoothly, it's running fair. And that's the key goal of our civil service system, to always be fair. And that's what you've been doing in providing that leadership. So, Ms. Chappelle, I thank you for that. Valerie, I love you, and I just think you're an absolutely wonderful person. And the mayor could pick no better person to be president of this commission. And Mr. Rubalcaba, congratulations to you. You have a chance now to succeed another commissioner who I think has been to 5 commissions. So at your young age, there's a potential for you to succeed, because I think there's someone else with a similar last name who was a fire commission, a harbor commission, water power, recreation and parks, Coliseum, and I can't remember the last one. But good luck to all of you. Serve the people well. Get out in the community as often as you can, and visit those who do the work for the people. Visit those who do the work for the people, so you can get the concepts and ideas that will help you make the best decisions when your boards meet. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations to our 3 commissioners. Mr. Rubalcaba, on your new commission, welcome. You come from a great heritage, obviously, and a good tradition over at USC. Between Mr. Parks, myself, and Jan Perry, you got some good friends here on the council. I wish you luck, and my staff will be in touch with you a lot about the coyote problem out in our district, as well as Mr. Zine's district, I'm sure. So I look forward to working with you on that. Mr. Chappelle, thank you again. As Dennis said, it's worked smoothly. Tom says because of equity, but whatever, it's going well, and that's what we all look at. And I congratulate you on what you have done. I look forward to continued service, and thank you. And to Valerie, I've worked with you over the years on a few things here and there, but when I became chairman of Public Works, we've gotten to work together on a lot of things, and you're always right there, Johnny, in the spot. Anything you can do to help, trying to find solutions to problems. I'm just so happy the new work ethic in the Board of Public Works, and you're a part of that. And I think things are working very successfully there, and it's under your leadership that it will continue to be successful. And I look forward to working with you as the chairman of the committee, but also just as a good friend. I very much appreciate what you've done, and I'm very respectful of what you've done. And thank you for your service already, and thank you for the next couple of years of working together, because I look forward to it. Thanks so much.
Mr. Reyes.
Just want to rise and thank you all for your service and contributions to the city and the good things to come. But I did want to ask Ms. Shaw one question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. But over the years, we've talked and worked together on many projects in the city, especially District 1. We appreciated your support and your help in a lot of projects. And there's one element that I've always been focused on is how we look at our contracts, how we look at our public work contracts, how we bring together resources to hire young people, to hire local youth, to keep the dollars in the city of LA. It's the mantra I've been going through for many years. And I just want to ask, what's your assessment? Are we changing? Are we getting better? Do we still have a lot more to go? How much of our money goes back into our community, especially for job training programs for our young people?
I think that we're getting better, but we have a lot of work to do. I know the mayor has a SNAP program which employs at-risk youth. We've tried to do it through our project labor agreements, and I hope we see more of those in the future. But I think you're right. We need to focus more on that.
We spend a great number of dollars policing and recreation, and ultimately it comes down to jobs for our young people when we deal with the issues of crime and gang activity, et cetera, it's about that idle time. So
Yeah, I agree.
anything you can do, commissioners, anything you can do in your respective roles to question the staff, to look at the contrast and ask those questions. How much of this dollar is staying in LA? How much of these dollars can we farm out, subcontract, so that we can get local nonprofits, local young people jobs? And that's a focus I would hope we can pick up so we can keep the dollars in the city, increase our pie, because quite frankly, even our own employees, our own city family, we have a tendency to move outside the city, spend our monies outside the city, and yet we are anticipating raises, we're anticipating cost of living raises, and yet we need to question, where does our money go? And so we need to start taking care of our own city. And I just challenge everyone who receives that City of LA check, where do you spend your money? And hopefully we can start doing some of that soul searching. And as commissioners, you're in a great position to ask the staff, the managers, the directors, what do we do with our money? Are we bringing it back? I would hope we can continue on that mantra. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. I wanted to stand up in support of Valerie Shaw. We've had the pleasure of knowing each other for quite some time, and pleased that the mayor not only appointed you originally, but is reappointing you as a Public Works Commissioner. Many of you know Public Works issues have been the cornerstone of my first year of office, and Valerie has always come to the table and talked to us about how we could improve things, efficiencies, ask for support, and also when I've had trouble. I always tell the story, Valerie, as you know, about the sign, the construction zone sign that was not being removed, and we called your office and it was immediately removed that next day because I had threatened to do it myself. But you were a person who is a take charge. There's many issues that we want to deal with in Public Works and provide additional support. Janice was just mentioning to me, and I know she will probably in her remarks, talked about in our Government Efficiency Committee we had this morning, ways in which we can provide greater services and to give incentives to departments that if you create efficiencies, that the money you save come back to your department so that you're able to provide greater services. Because we consistently have challenges, and most of the issues that we deal with in our district from a constituency standpoint are from Public Works. So I know it was mentioned earlier that you're the first African-American woman to be president of the Board of Public Works. I know I see your car here till late in the night and you're at weekends really being an active member. So I applaud you, and I'm glad that you're willing to continue in this position, and know that we're going to keep counting on you to deliver those services and for us to work closely together on ways in which we can provide more street resurfacing, more sidewalk repair, more tree trimming, and additionally, obviously, us being able to get our trash picked up in a timely manner, no bulky item pickup. So we encourage you to once again come to us and tell us when you have some challenges that we can help and where we can be more efficient. I also want to say hello to Ms. Rubalcaba. We've not had the pleasure of meeting. I know your parents. I think most of us will approve you today, even without the fact that we know your parents. But they've both been active public servants, and I appreciate that your willingness. Animal services in my district is critically important. I hope that we can get together. I have a huge equestrian community in the Somatahunga area. They also have a lot of dogs and cats and so forth. It's a very rural area, one in which we need to look at ways in which we can control the number of animals. We've talked frequently about pet neutering, ways in which we can get that information out. I had on Sunday in my district at a car wash that offered a free car wash if they adopted a dog or cat that morning. I have not heard whether it was effective, but we had lots of people coming into that car wash, and we had wonderful animal service volunteers. But I'd love to sit down with you after your appointment today and see where we can work together to make sure that we're serving that community. Also making sure that we're getting our revenue. I know a lot of the dogs and cats out there are not registered, and it's for their benefit as well as ours to make sure that people do that. So I look forward to working with you. Congratulations, and like I said, we won't hold it against you that you have Dominic as your father. But anyways, congratulations, and nice to meet you here. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I look forward to working with you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. First of all, let me just thank you, and all of the city owes all of you a debt of gratitude, first of all, for agreeing to serve on a commission. It really is the greatest act of public service is to agree to serve on one of these commissions and take it on with great seriousness and responsibility. And so I stand here to support all of you and to thank you for saying yes to the mayor's call. If we did not have citizens like you, really, who are willing to serve on these commissions, the city would not be as great a place. And Alexander, I've never had the pleasure of meeting you as well, but I do know Sharon and Dominic, and really, I know. Listen, I grew up my whole life people only liking me because of my father, so I know what you're feeling today, but it's a great heritage you have, and it's a great recommendation you have, so we support you. And Valerie and Kieran, I don't have the pleasure of having any time spent with you either, but again, thank you for agreeing to serve. And Valerie, one of the greatest appointments I think the mayor has made, and we're happy that you're agreeing to serve again. First time I ever met you was at an intersection I was on Crenshaw Boulevard, and you were a field deputy for Councilwoman Ruth Galander. I was working at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza, and there was a need for a left turn signal at that intersection. You actually met me out there, and we stood in the middle of the street together and talked about that left turn signal. And I knew then that, first of all, you were agreeable to come out and stand in the middle of the street and talk about how we can make things better. And that has exactly been your attitude. And there's been a lot of great things said about you and Public Works. And I think for all of us, not to slight any other service or department in the city of Los Angeles, but it really is all about Public Works. That is really where the rubber meets the road, and where constituents and Angelinos really look to whether or not they like LA or not. It's how we deliver services to the taxpayers. And you have really shown leadership and created a sea change of attitude in the Department of Public Works. And all the things being said, I will focus on the way you have shown leadership with neighborhood councils. Neighborhood councils has been such a great revolution in the city of Los Angeles, but it won't work unless city departments really are proactive and really show leadership and really partner with neighborhood councils. We can no longer say neighborhood councils are an experiment and they may or may not work. They are here to stay, and they are going to be effective because departments and commissioners partner with them. You have shown an incredible leadership with neighborhood councils. I think Public Works has gone beyond probably any other area in the city of Los Angeles, working with neighborhood councils, educating neighborhood council on how public works work and how they can actively be involved in affecting change and how we deliver services to their neighborhoods. And I think that is really worthy of commendation and praise. And you have shown great leadership in that area, and I will be forever grateful for that, as well as Angelinos throughout the city. So I recommend all three of you today, and we'll vote for your appointments.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Congratulations to all of you. Ms. Chappelle, thank you for your continued service. I can let you off easy without a question, but I always think that we should have some questions lobbed over at our potential commissioners. So let me start first. It's been a great joy serving with you, Valerie, and congratulations on your renomination. Can you make a commitment to me today to help work potentially with the Bureau, of course, street lighting, on seeing whether or not, I know in Virgil Village we have been looking in that area, which has no park space, and have Prop K money successfully received to create a soccer area where the Bureau of Street Lighting is right now. I've spoken with the Bureau, and they're most open to locations that might be even more convenient to get to different places in the city. But will you commit to working with us to see if we might be able to put a plan together this year?
Absolutely.
All right. That's all I need to hear. It's the easy answer. Thank you for that. I'll be supporting your renomination. And Mr. Rubalcaba, as I said to you, it's great to see young faces around here. And I congratulate the mayor. I know we said a couple of years ago that we were going to look for more young commissioners, but it's tough to find young people who are at the right place in their life, and we appreciate you putting your name forward. And my question to you, well, let me say one thing before that. I would encourage you to continue working as strongly as you can with the department, which has done a good job in expanding our vouchers, spay-neuter vouchers for some of our lower-income communities. Those are critical, and we must continue to expand those each and every year, and know that you have a very sympathetic council here in doing that. But what are your thoughts on moving towards a no-kill policy? I know the mayor announced that. I think many of us are supportive of a no-kill policy, and a lot of cities have done that. Do you have any ideas of how quickly you think we might be able to get there?
Well, I don't know if I can discuss a timetable at this point. I've been studying the policy and have been in contact with the mayor's office and the various representatives at the department about moving towards that policy. And I think it's a policy that, when implemented and when implemented the way that the mayor has discussed, will make this city a much more humane city and will make the department much more responsive to the constituents, including the people and the animals that the department serves. So I think it's a wonderful thing. It's going to be difficult to implement, but I think that we can work through and get it done.
Well, it will certainly be one of your lasting legacies if you, in your time as a commissioner, we can get there, and I have full faith in you, and I'll be supporting your nomination as well.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Other members wishing to be heard on these items? I believe everybody has spoken, or just about everybody has spoken. Madam Clerk, please open the roll on confirmation of all three commission nominees. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you.
Forthwith, please, on these three commission appointments. Madam Clerk, we have 13 members present now. We were holding items 2, 3, and 5, 3, 4, and 5 ordinances on the desk. Let's reopen the roll on items 27 through 33, ordinances we previously voted on, as well as opening the roll on 3, 4, and 5. Let's close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those ordinances are approved. Next item, please.
Item number 2 was called special inasmuch as there are cards from the public and there is an amending motion or a substitute motion that has been distributed to the council members.
Members, this is public comment for item number 2 on today's agenda. The council calls forward Mr. Jim McQuiston, followed by Tom McCarty.
Jim McQuiston, East Hollywood Community Association. I rise in support of this amendment. I have not seen the proposed amendment. I do want to register one reservation, since we are giving priority to people with money. We may be slacking the people who cannot afford this. However, I've been assured in Plum that there will be plenty of capacity so that no one will be left unserved.
Mr. McCarty.
Good morning, Mr. President, members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association. I'm Vice Chair of Development Reform, and this is one of the items that we've been actively pushing forward, and we strongly encourage your support this morning. The experience with the other departments, Building and Safety and Engineering, where they have implemented programs similar to this, has been very rewarding, not only to the big projects, which typically pay the expedited review fees, but for the mom and pops doing their garage remodel, because it allows the big projects to get through. So thank you very much for your support. Any questions?
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment for item number 2. Members wishing to be heard on item number 2, beginning with Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, this is an item that I want to thank Councilmember Zine and Councilmember Parks for the support. As you know, part of this build-up process and how we capture our revenues is how we move projects. And we also know that time is money. So by putting this together, we put together the necessary staff to move projects forward. By creating this service fund, this fee-funded service, we do not impact the general fund at all. What we do is essentially establish the ability to have some level of predictability for those projects that are in the pipeline. We have a tremendous backlog. When it comes to case processing, I believe the planning department, the staff in particular, are trying their best to move along and provide the kind of service and turnaround and shorten that loop so that we can have a much more efficient process. I want to thank the commissioners that are here, that they're very supportive. Mr. Klein, who is our planning commissioner, our president. And we do have the staff here, Con Howell and Frank Gilbert, have been working very hard on this item. I just want to emphasize, and I'm sure we will focus on this, is that the positions themselves, that we do our best to make sure that we work internally, that our staff internally within the planning department are the ones who are being who will be in a position to take advantage of this new unit. We would hope that we can continue getting measurable outcomes from the planning department, and we can continue moving in a direction where we as council members, every time you submit a motion for a planning department function or product, that we assess our priorities, that we continue moving in a direction that's going to allow us to expand our revenue base and to establish that predictability and comfort so that both neighborhood councils, homeowner associations, investors, and all the community interest groups, stakeholders, will be in a position to deal with those projects that are compatible with our communities. So I thank you. I urge and I vote, and hopefully we can see a new day where we can get our projects out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Are there other members wishing to be heard on item number 2? If not, we do have item 2A that has been circulated. The amending motion. Let's open the roll on item 2A. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, now let's take a vote on item 2 as amended. Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 7 was called special for Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn, item number 7.
First thing I'd like to do is move for a public hearing. I know we have 2 people who have come down here to speak, so I would like to reopen public comment.
Okay, is there any objection to reopening the public hearing? If not, then without objection, let us hear from Denise and Jeffrey's son. Please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Denise Ng, and I'm Senior Assistant to Assemblymember Judy Chu, and I thank you for allowing me to speak on this very important issue. I'm going to read a statement today from Assemblymember Chu. I wish to express my strong support for today's resolution on behalf of the workers of the Chinese Daily News. For so many years, I've interacted with reporters for the Chinese Daily News. I saw them working at all hours, early in the day, late at night, writing late-breaking stories under tremendous pressure. And yet they have low pay with no overtime. 7 days sick pay at half pay and only 6 holidays. Over 2 years ago, the workers of the Chinese Daily News did something that was unprecedented. They began the steps of organizing a union. They did it despite the fact that nobody thought it could be done. They went to 150 people whose jobs varied from press operators to reporters. They went to workers, most of whom immigrated from other countries and spoke mainly Chinese. Eventually, the workers were able to get the card signed, and they were able to get their votes to win their election to become a union. They did this despite tremendous pressure from management. They did this despite the fact that management brought in a union-busting consultant who brought the workers in person by person to harass them into not joining the union. He told them it was not the Chinese culture to have a union, and that they should obey their bosses because they would be taken care of. But these workers persevered. They did it despite being given the worst job assignments. And despite this, some of them were fired. The workers of the Chinese Daily News are amongst the most courageous I've ever seen. They have exercised their democratic rights under the most difficult circumstances. For all their efforts, they deserve our support in the community. This is why the City of Monterey Park passed a resolution in support of their efforts. So I'm here today to respectfully request you, the City Council members of Los Angeles, send a message that it's not right to block an election that was duly won. And please pass this resolution today. I thank you for your consideration.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Jeffrey Sun. 我是88年移民来美国，88年前我是台湾的水利工程员。
My name is Xiao Ziqiao. I used to be a reporter with the Chinese Daily News. I now work as a union organizer with the Newspaper Guild sector of the CWA, and I'm going to translate for Jeffrey Sun. He's the driver of the Chinese Daily News. And what he's just said that he immigrated into the United States in 1988. And he used to work for the Taiwan Water Conservancy Bureau. His old job back in Taiwan was a water conservancy surveyor.
我在90年进入《世界日报》做送报工作，因为英语能力不好，所以一直担任送报工作，至今已13年。
And I started to work for the Chinese Daily News in 1990 because my English is limited. And I have been working as a circulation driver ever since. This is my 13th year.
《世界日报》送报范围包括整个洛杉矶市及华普，有部分报纸是与 LA Times 合作，两份报合并一起送。
The circulation routes for the Chinese Daily News covers the greater Los Angeles area, including LACD and Chinatown. Chinese Daily News is in partnership with the Los Angeles Times. Many copies of our newspapers actually are bundled together with the LA Times and then sell like a combo.
3年前，在2001年3月19日，我们以78比63的票数通过成立工会。
3 years ago, we won the election to organize a union by 78 to 63.
投票过程完全由个人自由意识秘密投票完成，是一个合法的民主表决，但是报社却说不合法，一再上诉。
The process of the election was completed by secret ballots within our own discretion and individual free will. It was a completely legal democratic election. However, the management claimed that it was illegal. They kept on appealing the election results.
你们在小组委员会已经听过我们挣扎的故事了。
Some of you might have heard our stories of struggle at your subcommittee meetings.
报社在2002年11月7日同一天同一时间，在各部门办公室出现一张我们不要工会的签名单。
By the end of year 2001, anti-union petition forms claiming that we don't want a union suddenly appear at every office for every department in the same day at the same time.
并有专人在办公室找人签名，绝大多数的员工害怕，如果不签就表示支持工会，而受到不公平的打压。
Some people were assigned to solicit signatures from us. Most of us workers were so afraid because of the fact that if we refused to sign, it would openly show our support for the union. Then we would suffer unfair treatment and retaliation from the management.
报社用胁迫集体签名来扭曲个人的自由意识，是严重的人权迫害。
The management used this kind of threatening to solicit collective signatures for the anti-union petition. My individual free mind was distorted.
对外还说是员工自己发起的，所以恳请各位议员帮助声援我们，保障与维护宪法赋予我们的基本人权。谢谢。
The management told the outside world that the anti-union petition was initiated by workers themselves. To me, it was no different from oppression of our human rights. On behalf of many co-workers who couldn't be here today, I humbly request all the City Council members help us and speak for us. Please protect and maintain our basic rights that were granted by the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment on item number 7. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise in strong support of this resolution today and want to thank Assembly Member Judy Chu for bringing this to my attention. A basic right of all people is their right to assemble together in order to improve basic conditions of their lives. I believe, and I know many here believe, that fair labor practices, it's not a privilege, but it's a right that should be cherished. The employees of the Chinese Daily News came together over 2 years ago and voted to join the Communication Workers of America. This was a vote that was recognized and certified by the National Labor Relations Board. However, the Chinese Daily News refuses to implement or even acknowledge the desires of its employees. So I'm asking you today to join with me and support this resolution and send a strong message to the Daily News, to the Chinese Daily News, that we support the efforts of its employees and that we urge them to immediately recognize the employees' involvement in the Communication Workers of America. And many people will wonder why the City of Los Angeles is getting involved in this and would pass a resolution. But colleagues, I know that we believe that this affects all of us. And if we are ever going to improve the economic landscape of Los Angeles and the surrounding areas, we all have to rise together. We all have to be lifted up together. We cannot leave anyone behind. And this is our opportunity to use our influence as the second largest city in the country to send a strong message that we believe in all workers' rights, to organize, to assemble, and to improve the conditions of their own lives, which ultimately will help all of us. So we're here today in solidarity. We want to send this message to retailers and to the readers of the Chinese Daily News that we believe that this is an important issue, and we stand strongly behind the workers of the Chinese Daily News, that they should have this right to be recognized as members of the Communication Workers of America. I hope you will all join me in supporting this resolution today.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Ms. Han, for introducing this. I'm proud to second this, and I know when we were in Taiwan, we tried to actually get a meeting with folks to directly speak to them about this, and I've shared this when the mayor and Ms. Han and I and Mr. Padilla were in Asia on official city delegation. Colleagues, I also want to welcome and thank the workers that are here, the organizers in the union, and praise Assemblywoman Judy Chu for her great work on this issue, too. It takes a lot of courage for the workers to do what they've been doing doing for as long as what they've been doing. But the mark of a great paper is not just the external product. And make no mistake, this is a great paper. It's made great because of the workers who are there. Clearly the best in its class, the most well-known, really the premier paper. But the mark of a great paper is also internal, how it treats its own employees, those very people that write the stories that make it such a great paper that people love to pick up and love to see. In committee, we unanimously supported the workers in urging the management to simply abide by democratic election and democratic choices of the workers there, to say that here in Los Angeles, we stand up for equal rights in the workplace, and that any employer needs to have that same threshold that we hold ourselves to here. We were unanimous in the committee. Colleagues, let us be unanimous here today with one voice, say very clearly that here in the city of Los Angeles, we will not accept any tricks, anything behind the scenes, anything that tries to squash the voices of those who are just trying to exercise a basic right. And Ms. Hahn's motion today will send that message, and we'll say that from Los Angeles. I don't think much more needs to be said, but let's go ahead and do it unanimously. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to say, I concur with what Mr. Garcetti and Ms. Hahn's concerns are, and that is equity and fair treatment of people. I can't go along with this motion for this reason. We are getting too much involved when things are not city business. This is not city business. We spend a lot of staff time doing these files. I was told many years ago, I haven't asked the question lately, but every time you open the files, at least $600 in city clerk time and processing issues, but things are not our jurisdiction and our control. If we want to do these things, we should be standing in front of City Hall as leaders of the community and say, it's immoral what's going on in that paper, let's stop it. But this is not a matter for the city council to be taking up. And I just think it's about time we start realizing what our job is. Our job is to run the city of Los Angeles, to administer this government, and when it comes to these social issues and these important issues in our community, stand up as leaders of the community and stand with these people and fight for their right, but not spend city time doing that, because that is not our job. And the only reason I'm voting against this today is because this is inappropriate for city council jurisdiction. That's all.
Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to find out how do we determine whether or not the city of Los Angeles spends any of its dollars advertising in the Daily News. I don't know if there's somebody from staff here, or is it, do you know the answer to that?
If the city of Los Angeles puts their public notices, but there is stuff from the city in there. I'm not sure if they're advertising or they're public notices, but they do.
Thank you for that. I would argue that would put it right in our domain. And, I want to appreciate this motion, and I obviously rise in support. It can't be said any better than what Ms. Hahn said at the outset. And I would like to find out if there's a way to, and it may be too late, but an amendment to this to have some search of what kind of dollars are spent by the city of Los Angeles with the Daily News. And at that point, I think we might be able to make an economic statement about how serious we are that this economy is built on the backs of workers, and the best way for us to show that we stand with workers is to not patronize any business that harasses, discriminates, and works around the laws of the United States that set up to protect workers. So if the author of this would be willing to accept that might be a way to, the city attorney, please.
That could be accepted as a friendly request for report, and that information can be reported back to the committee.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. And the great thing about democracy, we get to voice our opinions and we get to express our thoughts. And I respect my colleague, Councilmember Smith, and his point of view. But I'd like to beg to differ. This is city business. Chinatown is in the first district in the heart of the city. Chinatown is made up of Los Angeles citizens, Angelinos. They happen to be immigrants. This is the portal for many people, especially who speak the various dialects in Chinese. So when it comes to issues of housing, when it comes to issues of the Go Line, when it comes to issues of what's happening in the recreation center, that is city business. Now, The sad part about this is that this paper chooses to demoralize, degrade, depreciate the value of the input of these workers. And it's being made evident by the way they are being treated. So I want to thank Senator Judy Chu for her leadership and my colleagues, Councilor Han and Councilor Garcetti. But for right now, let's say the reporter here, I see her every time we have an event in the city. And every time we want to introduce a program for seniors, that's city business. When we are allocating our dollars in block grant for services, that's city business. This is a city issue. So I do believe we need to assess how we invest in this paper. It's unfortunate that this paper cannot come to grips with the fact that if the Chinese reading and speaking citizens choose not to buy the paper, they won't have a business. So as individuals, we have a way of protesting by not buying the paper. But there is a backlash because it's one of the few papers where we get to announce and promote services and programs that affect the quality of life. So we are in a catch-22 situation. But we need probably our other Chinese-speaking and writing papers so we can have more competition so that maybe this paper can understand the value of its workers. So we have been building on the backs of immigrants ever since the railroads were being built, ever since the farm workers have been picking food and grapes and everything else that we eat, and this is no different. Let's stand together, but respect Councilor Smith, your opinion. The bottom line is, in my point of view, it is city business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council members, I came from a labor background for Police Protective League. Hours, wages, working conditions. And when management is unfair, unions become strong. When management is fair, unions go by the smooth path. So when I look at the issue before us, while it may not be directly related to the city's responsibility to deliver services, I believe that we have a duty and obligation to help people within our boundaries be treated fairly. And whether it's an issue of the first district or the third or whatever district, we have, I believe, a moral issue as well as a legal issue to take a stand. And when I look at the resolution, I agree with Councilmember Smith that it may not be our primary responsibility. The secondary moral responsibility is to make sure people are treated fairly within the boundaries of the city of Los Angeles. And coming from a labor background and knowing how hours, wages, working conditions are so important, it's important that we send a message. And there are many publications in the city of Los Angeles, some union, some non-union. And those that are non-union, they're treating their employees properly, giving them the fair wages, benefits, etc. I don't think we hear from them. But when there's abuse of the employees, they turn somewhere. And I was in the mayor's office yesterday, and there's a sign on his desk, the buck stops here. He's got that on his desk, the buck stops here. And if we don't listen to them, where are they going to go? They're going to protest the management. What's the management going to do? They're going to lay the people off? My concern is that everyone be treated fairly, period. As far as the hours, wages, working conditions, and I don't know the situation that brought it about, and I'm sure it's not just that they want to join the union. I'm sure there's some situations that are taking place, whether it be unfair labor practices or something along those lines that's prompted this to take place. So I'm going to support this, since I come from a background representing workers, representing what's right, representing what's just. And hopefully it'll send a message. Employers need to respect the employees, and they need to do what's right for the employees as far as the hours, wages, working conditions, and the whole environment. You have dedicated people, and they will work hard if you treat them right. If you don't treat them right, they're going to protest, and it's going to create chaos in the environment. in this particular case, a newspaper. I don't know what our advertising is, but I know that there are many publications that we as elected officials take out ads during certain holiday seasons. And I don't know if this publication we take ads out, but I know in different parts of the city, different ethnic communities, we take ads out supporting a special holiday. We may examine that, not only for this publication, but for any other publication that is not treating their employees properly and fair, dignity and respect. So I'm going to support the motion. I do agree with Councilmember Smith that sometimes we wander off into an area. I think there's a moral issue here before us. And on moral ground, I'm going to support the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Zani. Other members wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please roll on item number 7. Please close the roll. And tabulate the vote.
12 ayes, 1 no.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 50 was called special by Councilmember Gruhl, and there are cards on this item also.
We do have speaker cards in item number 50. Let's open the public comment period for item number 50, and the council will call forward Monica Molina, to be followed by Joseph Grande, Kinga Lovas, and Edward Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the council. Good morning. My name is Monica Molina. I am an attorney that represents a handful of the tenants that still reside at 6045 Whitsett Avenue in North Hollywood, California. I believe we're here today for the REAP case number 5601, which was initiated back in July of 2002. If I'm correct in reviewing what is the Housing Department's data, 6045 Whitsett Avenue, the landlord and owner, was cited for sanitation problems at a high level. We continue to have these sanitation problems up until June of this year. My contention today is that they continue to have sanitation problems. There have been a series of other REAP cases, and as I understand, we're not going to get into issues of other REAP cases. However, much like in civil court, we're allowed to introduce evidence of habit and pattern. And here we clearly have an ongoing problem where sanitation has been found to be a problem in other REAP cases, as well as plumbing and a series of other problems. My contention today as well, additionally, would be that the owner and management tend to fix these problems aesthetically for the purposes of inspection. The inspectors from the Housing Department go to the property, inspect, and find it to be aesthetically pleasing on that particular day. But I do have a tenant here today to testify that sanitation continues to be a problem. He left this morning with overflow of litter and garbage in the back. We also have learned from the health department that last week they have found mold to be an ongoing problem. And the housing department really doesn't know how to deal with this. They don't have a separate category for mold when they have the sanitation. So my argument today would be that mold certainly would fall under sanitation. Now, I understand that the Housing Department has sent a letter saying that they conducted such inspections, but I have made the Housing Department aware that I am counsel for at least 10 of the tenants that reside there. I also represent a handful of other tenants that have left because of the ongoing problems at REAP. Under REAP. Another problem that has surfaced has been that as the Housing Department learned that council was demanding what seems to be a re-inspection, they went ahead and they deployed what are these inspectors. Like I mentioned earlier, I advised these inspectors that I was counsel and that I'd like to be present at such inspections. Wayne Duran was the senior inspector in charge of this. He not once gave me 24-hour notice of such inspection. I also will have the tenant, Joseph Grande, testify that such inspections were not properly noticed. I understand that, again, two separate issues. However, in civil court, argument is that procedurally, if it's defective procedure, The poisonous fruit falling from the tree, of course, is inadmissible. So that's my argument today to council. A plea to continue to protect these tenants because it continues to be an ongoing problem. I will provide Honorable Grohl's office with more evidence as to the health department's finding of mold, and I will assist him in whatever other capacity that I can.
Thank you very much. We can hear from Joseph Grande, followed by Kinga Lovaz and Edward Garcia.
Good morning. You're just verifying what Monica said last night. I checked the trash. Trash has been picked up on Monday from the weekend. It overflowed, and last night it was overflowing again. It had not been picked up yet this week. The last two building inspectors that came out only looked at 4 units, and I don't know how they selected them, but they weren't units. But the health department came out within the last week or so, and they filled up 3 pages with violations they found. And I guess that's really all I got to say. Those are the things that I've observed. Thank you very much.
I am the management company for the complex, and we have done everything to maintain the building and has been inspected and passed by 2 different departments, which is the outreach program, and along with senior inspectors, not only one of them, but 2, 3 of them have been to the building. The sanitary of the building is maintained. The trash has been picked up. There are no issues that I'm aware of any sanitary problems. It is continuously maintained and in proper order as passed by both departments of outreach as well as the city inspectors. And I have no pending violations for that project or property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is Edward Garcia?
Hello, I'm the apartment manager at 6045 Whitsett. Just wanted to add that everything that Kinga is saying is true. I wanted to also add that I live there, and in the process, I'm constantly busy having to turn on the gas line to the water heaters because some of the tenants are banding together, and they're trying to do little things so that they can have some kind of evidence to call the city to come out and try to find us. This morning, someone shut off the gas valve to one of the water heaters. Mr. Grande came over, he had a smirk on his face, and said, oh, there's no cold water again. Okay, I went to check it. That's one of the reasons why I got here late. I had to turn the gas back on and turn the ignition switch back on in order for our people to have hot water. We are trying to do everything in our power to have the place in a good atmosphere for everybody that's living there. Although we have some people that want to stay on this briefcase because of the discount. That's really all I have to say, sir.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment on item number 50. Chair recognizes Ms. Grohl.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we could have representatives from the Housing Department. If you could hold my time while they come up, I'll ask my questions while it's coming up. Some serious issues have, and you can come to the table if you'd like. Some serious issues were raised today, and I know we're under the REAP program, we have to do those things that they were cited for, and that if they've corrected those violations, we have to take them off of REAP. But they've obviously indicated there potentially might be some other violations that have occurred, or mold, etc. So I have just a few questions. One, have all the units been inspected relative to the violations that they were written up for under the original REAP?
Yes, they have.
They have been, okay. And but we can put them back on REAP if we find additional violations. Is that correct?
We can if we investigate on subsequent complaints, and that's what we have been trying to resolve. We have been phoning the complainants and trying to make appointments. Numerous complaints come in at various times.
and the inspectors and
Los
myself. I
inspectores
was
y yo
out there on
nos
September
subimos septiembre
5th.
5.
I called, tried to make an appointment
Vamos a hacer
with
una
some of the
sesión con
tenants. I
algunos
was able to reach a couple. I did
Puedo
go
hablar
out
que los fui
there
ahí.
and viewed some minor
Unas
issues.
cuestiones pequeñas.
No real habitability
No había
issues.
cuestiones
The
de
site was
habilidad.
pretty clean.
Está
I didn't see
bastante
anything
limpio, no
about
hubo nada de
sanitation,
sanitación.
and so much as overflowing trash cans, a
Basura de
dumpster,
exceso,
anything. So
ninguna cosa así.
most of those were unverifiable.
Do we inspect on mold at all? I mean, is that something that is that seems to be the new issue?
Yeah, mold is regulated by the health department along with vermin and insect infestation. So we would normally refer that if we observe that, the inspector would refer that to the health department.
And I know the issue was brought up on the 24-hour rule, and I was educated, I was educated a little bit about that we don't have a 24-hour rule, and could you explain to me, and I think my colleagues, why that is?
Okay, when we receive a complaint, we make every effort to contact the complainant and be as efficient and as effective as possible and go out there and meet the complainant. What we've done is call the complainants, say we'll be out there, we establish appointment with one or two of the complainants, meet them, and attempt to gain access to the other units. To get 4 or 5 tenants together on a short notice to respond to a complaint can be difficult.
But I guess the question is, if you're going sooner than that 24-hour period, are you doing that because of an urgent nature? Because I think the complaint from the attorney was that it was, there wasn't 24-hour notice because you went out fairly quickly.
Okay, we're not going out there proactive. We're going out there as a result of a complaint.
Correct, but if you go out, let's just say the ceiling's falling in, whatever, and you've tried to attempt, but it's sooner than that 24 hours, the city attorney and others have said that's okay because it's relative to a serious life-threatening, whatever, it could be health-threatening.
If there's a life safety issue, then we could obviously shorten that time frame, try to get access and resolve the issue.
And I guess, again, the concerns that were raised by the attorney, she's worked very closely with my staff, Leslie Polner, to ensure that if there are additional complaints or violations, that you could, again, put this building back on the REIT program. That currently were tied by the violations that were in the original REIT.
That's correct.
Okay. So colleagues, as you all, and some that may be new, and I haven't had that many REIT properties in my district, and this particular issue, that we need to look at violations that currently exist and those that we can have them come back on the REIT if necessary. So hopefully the attorney that's represented here will work closely with you in my office to ensure that this property does not have those continuing violations as well. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on those and to let the attorney and the tenants know that we were not going to give up if, again, there were continuing violations there, that we can put them back on the REIT program where appropriate. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Are there other members wishing to be heard? Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, let's open the roll on item number 50. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
39.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Mr. President, there is an item not on the agenda, a special one, and it's presented by Councilmember Zion, seconded by Councilmember Villaraigosa and yourself. And the city attorney will speak to the findings.
City attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will recite the facts as presented to me by the maker of the motion for the council's consideration of the adequacy of the findings. Since the posting of today's agenda, Councilmember Zion has been requested by the League of California Cities to testify tomorrow in Washington, D.C. in opposition to H.R. 2671, the Clear Law Enforcement for Criminal Alien Removal Act. Pursuant to the government code, council must first determine that there is a need to take immediate action, and the need for action came to the attention of council after the posting of today's agenda. If such a finding is made, council may then consider the substantive motion.
Thank you very much. Are there members wishing to be heard on the findings for special one? Seeing none, let's open the roll on the findings. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
71 now before us. Mr. Zion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This matter is before the Senate tomorrow in Washington, D.C. I've been requested by the National League of Cities as a representative from the Public Safety Crime Prevention Committee to testify before the Senate on this matter. House Representatives 2671 by Representative Norwood out of Georgia. And what this will do is require that local law enforcement do immigration enforcement throughout the country, preempt whatever existing rules are in place throughout the country, and mandate that the local jurisdictions enforce these rules and pay for half the training, and if not, then the jurisdictions would then lose federal funding on a program called the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. So state and local law enforcement agencies, if they don't enforce, they don't pay for the training, they would lose reimbursement from the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. So the National League of Cities has taken a position against this, and they've asked that I testify, and I would be flying out tonight, testifying before Congress tomorrow on this matter, so I'd request an aye vote. When the federal government passes a law imposing upon local jurisdictions, there's different impact. In this particular case, it impacts law enforcement throughout the country. It doesn't do much for our relationship with the diverse people we have in the city of Los Angeles, and this would turn our local law enforcement officers here in the state of California throughout the country into immigration enforcement officers without any cause or reason. They would be enforcing those laws, not only locally, but nationally, and what that would do to our system of trying to work with communities and work in a positive fashion, would all go into sunder. Where we're going to find the funding to do the training, that's another question, since everyone is strapped for funds. So request an aye vote and bring some justice to the lawmakers in Washington, D.C.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank Mr. Zine and Mr. Villaraigosa for bringing this in. It's a big deal, and it's important. But we need to bring a new awareness to folks in this country about what Homeland Security means, about the right and the wrong way to do it. And as most of you in this room know, I'm about as big a proponent as increased Homeland Security efforts as you could find in the city, if not in the country. But I'm very concerned when I see efforts such as the one Mr. Zine has brought to our attention today, and I'm very concerned when I see efforts throughout the country to increase, for example, local domestic intelligence efforts without putting in the proper balance, without putting in the proper checks. These are both civil rights problems that could happen immediately if Congress were to pass the sort of bills that Mr. Zine has mentioned. And in the future, there are Homeland Security problems. Because what people need to understand is that if abuses occur in this country in the service of increased Homeland Security, the already thin support for increased Homeland Security in this country will evaporate. And then we will have not only a worse civil rights situation, we will be less secure against terrorism. And that's why one thing I have constantly called upon the LAPD and our police commission to do is come up with a better way of ensuring we have oversight over the anti-terrorist division of the Counterterrorism Bureau and the police department. Because the current oversight status of our current oversight protocol is not adequate. It's not adequate. And we need to make sure that as we move forward in the area of Homeland Security, that we do so in a manner that is not only consistent with civil rights and the Constitution, but embraces them. And that is not the Ashcroft way, that is not the Bush administration's way, that is not the way as identified in these motions, bills that Mr. Zine has brought to our attention. But it ought to be what we push for here in the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weiss. Next, Mr. Villaraigosa.
Yes, Mr. President, members, let me speak to this for a moment. Thank you, Mr. Zine and Mr. Weiss. for your leadership on this issue. Mr. Zine is a former police officer, as we all know, and currently a reserve officer at the LAPD, and he can tell you as a police officer that it's been the policy of this department, the experts, those who are defending the men and all of us in the city of Los Angeles, that Special Order 40 works. It's good public policy because what it does is it allows us to focus on the criminals and creates a situation where people can come forward, testify where they see acts of criminality, and become a partner with our police department in reducing crime in the city. And so we thank you for your willingness to testify on this issue. With respect to Mr. Weiss, as we all know, has been the leader on this council on the issue of terrorism and our counterterrorism efforts and our willingness to step forward as a city to address this issue. And it seems to me that a very relevant position to take on our part is the idea that the immigrants who come to this country come here to work, they pay taxes, they're a part of the fabric of this city and this country, and the idea that we would target them and become immigration agents, usurp the authority of the federal government under our system of government. It's the federal government that has responsibility for immigration, is to me untenable, and is why I support Mr. Zine's motion and the thrust of Mr. Weiss's policy considerations with respect to addressing the real sources and activities around counterterrorism.
Thank you very much, Mr. Villaraigosa. Mr. Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I know there's been at least one public comment card that's been submitted, but if I may, I'd like to speak first, and then we'll hear from members of the public. Colleagues, first of all, thank you, Mr. Zine, for bringing in this motion, for serving as a representative, not only of the National League of Cities, but of the city of Los Angeles. What a great representative we will have with your testimony later this week in the Capitol. And Mr. Weiss, as he summarized this as one of the next challenges of this delicate balance that this country is challenged with, balancing Homeland Security and the civil rights of all people in the United States, one of the fundamental premises that our country is based on. Colleagues, just this morning, I was at the Homeland Security Summit that is being hosted by the City of Los Angeles and our mayor, and I know Councilmember Weiss is one of the speakers there this afternoon. And it was there that we were acknowledging the realities of these challenges, of Homeland Security, of resources, of infrastructure, of law enforcement agencies. And it was there that I shared with the group that had representatives from throughout the United States and even abroad, the wonderful opportunity and the wonderful challenges that Los Angeles represents for the entire country. Day after day, we celebrate and embrace our diversity here in Los Angeles as a blessing. But diversity, yes, has posed additional challenges as it relates to Homeland Security. When we talk about diversity and the challenges for Homeland Security, we talk about conflicts from around the world replicating themselves here in Los Angeles, whether the conflicts are in Europe or Asia or in the Middle East. Here in Los Angeles, undoubtedly, we have neighbors living side by side, oftentimes with families from those regions, that can sometimes either bring those conflicts here or show how we can overcome those international conflicts here in the city of Los Angeles, and thus we serve as a model for the rest of the country and the world. Los Angeles has been a leader, and this is one of the direct ways why this city should be concerned about this bill. Los Angeles has been a leader in embracing the immigrant community. Los Angeles has been a leader in the past with Special Order 40 in the police department. What this bill hopes to do is to require state and local governments to enforce federal laws, federal immigration laws. That is in direct conflict with Special Order 40, a policy that this city and this city council has taken in the past and reaffirmed time and time again. I also, colleagues, want to remind us that we're living in a very historic time as it relates to politics in California, but specifically, Mr. Villaraigosa, you and I talk about this every day, what's going on with the immigrant community in Los Angeles and throughout California. Just a couple of weeks ago, many people celebrated when the governor signed SB 60, the most recent significant affirmation to the immigrant community, contributing to our society, contributing to our economy, and a sign of respect for their contributions. Just this last Friday, here in council chambers, we welcomed representatives of the Immigrant Worker Freedom Ride. The cause, the purpose of the Freedom Ride is to put immigration reform and the rights afforded to immigrants in this country back on the front burner of a national agenda. For us to even be considering this piece of legislation is to take another step backwards. And so I think it is very important for the National League of Cities and the City of Los Angeles, above all others, to be in Washington with their present and vocal opposition to this bill. I said it last Friday, and I'll say it again today. Before 9/11, we heard a lot of talk from the Bush administration about its respect to immigrants, about its respect for the Latino community. Since 9/11, not only have we heard silence on this issue, but we have seen this administration take steps backwards in terms of the respect and the civil rights of the immigrant community. Discrimination, bias, and abuse under the curtain of Homeland Security cannot and will not be acceptable in the United States of America and in the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Mr. Reyes is next, but if you'll indulge me before we take the one public speaker card, and then we'll hear from Mr. Reyes and Mr. Smith. Jim McQuiston.
Jim McQuiston, East Hollywood Community Association. In another life, much before coming down here and talking to you all, I was lobbying the Senate of the United States, and I personally knocked out a whole title of a federal crime bill when all of the police in the United States were lobbying on the other side. And the reason that I lobbied that way was because my way was the right way, of course. However, I must say that in my experience in lobbying the Congress in the United States, I found out that if you're a casual visitor to the United States Congress, you don't get much attention. And the police made a terrible mistake because they just came in with their lobbyists, and the senators didn't know those people at all. They didn't know whether they were trustworthy. And if we are going to maintain our city at a high level, when we go back, we have to be reading the congressional record. We have to be keeping up on the bills that are introduced. There's an awful lot of work involved. And if we walk in with just idle comments, you might say, even if we're on the right side, there are other people who are coming in with specific points, and they will be listened to. Believe me, the Congress starts at 6 a.m. and they don't go home until midnight every night. Every night. It's a terrible boiler shop back there. 5,000 bills at a time that they're looking at. And the people they listen to are people like me who called them on the telephone and gave them specific comments and specific instructions and reasons therefore, and they put them into place immediately. Once I can say President Reagan signed a bill that I suggested a week after I suggested it. So it's very possible to move and to use our influence in the Los Angeles city and get our way. But we have to gear up for this. We can't just do it casually or we'll end up with egg on our face. I support this particular measure here, but if you go in just with that, they're not going to pay any attention to it. A markup is after the hearings, so you have to get in way before the hearings and get your data in 50 copies or whatever they want. And then, if they like it, they'll invite you to testify because they're very limited on testify space. So these are the points that I really want to give to you because the Congress is very flexible. They want to hear from us, and they'll do what we want as long as we give them good reasons. Therefore, I was very impressed.
Thank you, Mr. McQuiston. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, in a city where we only have 9,000 officers, where other cities have up to 40,000, we're in a situation where, quite frankly, I think we need to put a face to the impacts of this law should we let it go through. The bottom line is, I have come across situations where we have families who are essentially living in our apartments, are being abused by landlords because they're being told that if you even protest or come up with some kind of complaint, we're going to deport you. We're going to call the police on you. I've been in places like Jordan Downs in my previous life, working with the planning department. We literally have families come here and essentially tell me how they're being victimized by the local gangbangers, and they're afraid to call the police because they're going to get deported. So you have a whole infrastructure, a whole subculture out there that abuses people because of their immigrant status. And these are hardworking people that are dedicating their lives, they're earning an honorable dollar, and they're being taken advantage of. So this is happening now. This is happening today. So as we continue to inform people about their rights, knowing that we have Special Order 40 intact, to allow this to come through, to allow this to be even contemplated, is to freeze and put a cold blanket over all of those services, over all of those programs that talk about community-based policing. Where is going to be the confidence to build up that communication with our security here in the city? How are we going to be able to identify those individuals who will be like vultures and abuse people because they can, knowing that those who are being victimized will not say a word? And that's just in the housing sector of our society. We're not even talking about the labor issues. We're not even talking about all the other ways in which people are surviving or living in the shadows. Let's not even talk about the fact of how gang members are dealing with the drug transactions, and they take advantage of families. This is a very, very scary time when we're going to be putting us in a position where our quality of life will deteriorate. Regardless if you're an immigrant or not, you will feel it because the ramifications will affect your neighborhoods. You might think, I don't live in that kind of neighborhood, I'm not in that type of situation. Believe me, there will be a ripple effect because, frankly, this is the magnet where we do have an international economy based on the immigrant experience. Thank you very much.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. President, I want to make it very clear to those that are watching that this motion is not about Special Order 40. And I almost wish it wasn't in there because that's maybe should take place in a different context, different time. It's about the ability of the City of Los Angeles to manage its own affairs and do what's right. It's the very core of our legislative policy, and that is local control. It's taking control out of our hands, and we deal with that every day of the week around here. When the federal government is telling us what to do, the state government is telling us what to do, we try and find the money to solve all the problems they create. And I really don't care what the problems of some congressmen in Georgia are. They're not the problems of the City of Los Angeles. We have 100 minorities in the city. We're not a city that has a majority. We're a minority city, one end of the other. That's what's made us really a great city that we are. And I revel in that. And in fact, some congressmen in Georgia wants to tell us how to treat those minorities in this city is wrong. It's not about Special Order 40. It's about local control, our loss of local control, and we have to be mindful of that. And I'm glad that this brought this to our attention because it needs to be addressed. We need to determine our own policies on our own as a city. 3.7 million. We need to determine what we're going to do here in LA, not what they're going to tell us in Washington what they want us to do. And I think that's the heart of this issue. It's not Special Order 40. It is about our control of our city. And I think Dennis will bring to it. It is the very heart of our policy, of legislation. And thank you for bringing it up, and I support it for that.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you, Mr.
Gracias,
President.
presidente.
Members, Mr. Zion, I want you to have a
Quiero
good
que
trip.
tenga un buen
Mr.
viaje,
Zion,
Mr. Zion.
Mr. Zion, I want you to be
Quiero que
articulate when
tenga
you
ese
testify
articulado
before
cuando testigue
Congress.
bajo el
And I
Congreso.
want you to
Y
tell
creo que les diga
our friends in
los
Congress how we
senadores
see
del
the
Congreso
people
cómo
of
vemos
Los
a la
Angeles
gente de Los
as
Ángeles
people.
como gente,
Not of what their
no cual
origin is,
urgencia.
but they're people of this city. And that's how we have
Entonces es
to
como tenemos que
help the people of this
ayudar a la
city.
gente de la
And I
ciudad.
think it would be
Y
improper
como
for the
sería
federal
impropio para el
government
gobierno
to
federal
apply this
aplicar esto
to the local
en
jurisdiction.
la jurisdicción
And truly
municipal
wrong.
para
Last night at a
completamente
community
equivocada.
meeting
Anoche
off of Mulholland, someone asked me how I
Alguien me
felt
preguntó
about
cómo me sentía yo acerca
the license plate.
las
Excuse me, the
placas,
license, driver's license
las
that the governor
licencias
recently
que el
signed.
gobierno firmó.
And I said I
Yo
support it. And
digo,
I told
soporto y les
him
dije a él
that I support all
que lo
people who are
soporto a
in
toda la
this
gente
city.
que está
And
en
I
la
fault
ciudad.
no
Yo
one for
soporto y no
coming to
creo
this
por
great
venir a
country.
este gran país.
And if you look at the
Ustedes
struggles and
ven
the
a
trials
las
that anyone may have
juicios que
had,
todos hayan tenido,
whether they took a ship across the Atlantic 100 years ago or whether they crawled across a hot desert
por el
through
desierto,
Mexico
por México,
last month,
el mes pasado,
they got here.
llegaron aquí.
And our job in this city is to work with all people and make sure all people do the right thing, but not to be the law enforcement agency for the federal government.
Gobierno federal.
And the federal government must address itself, and I hope in the future really addresses the economic needs, not just of Mexico, but Central America and South America, and focus more on this hemisphere, on issues as it relates to the people, to try to provide leadership from an economic standpoint as a country. But Mr. Zion, I think you could articulate it well, the importance of how we must look at everything. And I particularly think it's only fitting that you go this time, because I know usually your colleague, Mr. Weiss, goes to Washington because of your experience as a traffic officer, experience with your face-to-face work as a police officer for Los Angeles and your contact with the public. But make no mistake, you cannot fault anyone for being here in this country. They're here for their challenge, for their love, for their struggle. And now that we're here, we must not, as a city, be an enforcement arm of the federal government. I thank you, and I thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Cardenas.
I just want to compliment my colleagues on everything that's been said so far. For example, Mr. Reyes, you pointing out the chaos and the problems that would ensue with these kinds of pieces of legislation like H.R. 2671, the atmosphere that is being created and the idea that this country is a place where people can be put in fear, where people can be victimized not only by the actions of government, but by people who want to take advantage of those actions and turn them into something that is wrong. I also agree wholeheartedly with my good friend, Mr. Greg Smith. I knew I supported you for a real good reason. On the surface, people would think that Greg Smith and Tony Cardenas wouldn't agree on this issue, or Dennis Zine wouldn't agree with Alex Padilla on this issue. But we all agree on this because it is about the federal government not interfering with our ability to manage our affairs under the jurisdictions that truly are our jurisdiction of local government. And at the same time, this all reminds me of a story, coming back to what Mr. Reyes said. I had the pleasure of meeting a very hard-working person in Sacramento who's the daughter of immigrants, who she grew up working in the fields, and one day the immigration authority came and was doing a raid on the fields while they were working, and they were jumping out of the almond trees and stuff that they were working on, and she hurt herself pretty bad, and she was running, and finally her mom kept screaming at her and saying, stop running, you don't need to run. But she just kept running. It wasn't until later on that day that her mother caught up with her and said, you don't need to run, you were born here. It's that kind of atmosphere, that kind of pervasive idea that we can put people in fear, that people are put in a situation where they think that their surroundings mean that even though they're American citizens, that they're not welcome because they see the way their neighbors are treated. They see the way their own family is treated. That's the kind of atmosphere that we cannot and should not tolerate, and we should oppose whenever we see a congressman from whatever state. In this case, Michigan, for that person to tell us how we should manage this particular affair, that we should try to agree with him, or that we should not disagree with him on the way in which he's trying to approach some issues. This is the kind of legislation that only creates more issues and does not solve issues. And I want to compliment Mr. Zion for bringing this to our attention and making sure that you're going to be our voice in Washington, D.C., and hopefully heed the advice of some of our constituents here on how we can be effective in defeating this. Thank you.
Mr. Zion.
Yes, thank you, colleagues. Mr. President, this reminds me of an individual by the name of Tail Gunner Joe McCarthy, and what he did to a group of people in America, and what tragedy that was. I want to let Mr. McQuiston know that my office, along with the CLA's office, National League of Cities, is working the document and the text of my statements. So it's not going to be off the cuff. It will be well prepared with documentation. The alien versus criminal. There's a distinction between someone who's committing crimes and someone who's trying to find the American dream, prosperity that we've all achieved in this land of America. There is a distinction between the two. And I just want to emphasize that the National League of Cities has taken a position against this. The City of Los Angeles, by the passage today, will take a position against this. While many municipalities that are affiliated with National League of Cities not able to send representatives, we have the ability to do that, and I'm honored to serve as a representative on the Public Safety Crime Prevention Committee and be requested to testify on this particular bill and what we need to do to preserve our independence and freedom for the people of Los Angeles and permit our law enforcement officers to do what we pay them to do, to protect and serve the people of this community of Los Angeles. So your aye vote will send a strong message, and it will help the other municipalities around this country understand that we are fighting for independence, and the purse strings that the federal government has when they want to hold hostage dollars that we need for law enforcement, for criminal apprehension, can't be jeopardized. And it's the carrot and the stick. In this particular case, federal government is off the cue. I know that Senator Feinstein is on this committee, which I'll be testifying, along with some other elected representatives, I'm sure, are understanding of our concern and our need to defeat this legislation that's already passed the House of Representatives. So your aye vote will assist in that endeavor. And the only way I will not make it to D.C. is if the hurricane strikes and I can't fly out. But other than that, I will be there. And I'd ride my motorcycle if I could get there in time, but that won't work. Thank you, colleagues. Rest and I vote on this.
Thank you, Mr. Zion. Other members wishing to be heard? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on Special 1. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please. Next item.
This is the time for comments from the public on items not on council's agenda.
And having received no requests from members of the public to address the council on non-agenda items, public comment for today is closed. Next item, please.
Do you wish to clear the desk before going into closed session?
Let's do housekeeping.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Motion shall be posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Zion requests to be excused Friday, September 19th for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Zion is excused.
Councilmember Perry requests to be excused Friday, September 19th to leave at 11 a.m. for city business. A motion is required.
Mr. Reyes moves. Ms. Perry is excused.
Councilmember Smith requested be excused to arrive late on Wednesday, September 24th, which is the off-site for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Smith is excused.
And that clears the desk, Mr. President, for closed session.
Thank you very much. In conformance with California law, the council will now adjourn into closed session. Before we do, let me announce or recognize Mr. Parks for a recusal on items 46 and 47.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to have to recuse myself on items 46 and 47 because I'm a defendant in both of these matters.
Okay, so Mr. Parks will not be part of the closed session consideration of those items. And as we adjourn into Welcome back into open session. Madam Clerk, item before us, please.
Item number 47, a settlement in the case of Kenneth Walker versus Dale F. Gates et al. And the settlement is the amount of $160,000.
Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please. And let us now, there's no public open session action on item 46. So let's welcome Mr. Parks back into the room at this point and repeat for the record that Mr. Parks was recused on items 46, 47, did not participate in any consideration of those two items. Next item, please.
Item number 48 is settlement of attorney's fees in Regency Outdoor Advertising and Virtual Media Group versus City. Settlement is to Regency Outdoor Advertising in the amount of $83,858.75 and to Virtual Media Group $76,193.75.
Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please. Next item.
And that clears it, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, do we have any announcements today? Any announcements?
Yeah, Mr. Garcetti, could you read this, please? Oh, no.
It says, "Are you my type?"
Yeah, and it's very important because today we have a blood drive down here at City Hall, and it's so important. I was able to donate a little blood on Main Street, and the Red Cross nurses were there. I would like to ask that our General Services Department or our mayor's office, I don't know if a mayor's deputy is still in Chambers, opens up a bigger space in City Hall so we could have more of our city employees have the opportunity to donate blood. It's very important that we contribute, those who can, to the American Red Cross for their blood drives, because blood is needed throughout the country at all the time. So Dennis Sign, I'll give you one last chance to say this. Are you my type? Oh, Dennis is my type. I like that. Good job. A positive. That's what we all are. Thank you. Donate to the Red Cross.
And if you missed a blood drive and you want to schedule
We're going to schedule another one every 52 days.
1-800-GIVE-LIFE.
1-800-GIVE-LIFE. Thank you. Good job.
Other announcements? If not, please rise for adjourning motions. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's with great sadness, colleagues, that I ask that we adjourn today in the memory of Azaduye Kirtehian, who is Avak's mother. From our Chief Legislative Analyst's office, all of us know Avak and the way that he helps us function here in our city council to make sure that our motions are there and well thought out in our institutional memory. And certainly he would not be the man that he is today were it not for his parents. And his mother passed away yesterday, Tuesday, September 16th, 2003. She was a retired school teacher for LAUSD, doing both adult ESL, English as a second language classes out of Belmont Adult School, and doing regular teaching at various schools, including King, Marshall, LA High, Fauché, and some others. She was somebody who always gave back to her community, who raised her children clearly with a sense of what's right in this world, and also gave them a wonderful cultural history lesson in Avak's own heritage from Armenia, and always gave back to that community as well. She's survived by 2 children and 1 grandson. Services are pending, and we'll let everybody know. But Avak, if you get a chance to be watching this, know that all of us are thinking about you, and we're very, very sorry to hear about your mother, and we send all of our love to you and your family.
All members.
I wanted to say
Mr.
something,
Lamarche.
Eric, on that. Avak lives in my district, and often on Saturdays I would see him on his way to his mother's. And Avak it would make his mother so proud for what he has accomplished as a assistant chief legislative analyst, or whatever his title, and correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, on that. But I was always so fun to run into Avak and see, and he'd always take care of his mother. Mother lived in the 10th district. She was a great school teacher. Avak himself was born in Athens, Greece, I believe, and immigrated through New York City before he came west to Los Angeles, and they grew up in the LA high school area, and he has a sister, but and he always would take care of his mother, which is so important, because there's nobody, and as someone, there's nobody like a mother, and there's nobody in the world like our mothers. So I just wanted to say Godspeed to Avak and his sister and to their family, and know that she is extremely proud of Avak, as how he is as a city employee to all of us, and how special Avak was to his mother, and God rest her memory.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask us to adjourn in memory of Edna Earl Scales Davis, who's a dear friend of Bobby Parks, passed away on Sunday, September the 7th. For many years, she was married and devoted to her husband, Dr. Jake Davis, who was a doctor at Martin Luther King Hospital. Miss Davis is a retired LA Unified school teacher who was dedicated to educating our youth. She also worked at Continental Airlines for many years. She was affiliated with such organizations as the Lynx, Ebony Gill, Regalettes, and the Drew Medical Society. She is a remarkable individual, will be missed by many. Her memorial services will be at Angelus Funeral Home on Thursday, September 18th. Funeral services will be held at Second Baptist on Friday, September 19th, and the repast will be at the Regency West in Lemert Park. She's survived by her husband, Dr. Jake Davis, and two sisters.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I ask that we adjourn today in the memory of Tarmisha Zachary, who was the niece of my Harbor Gateway community advocate, Reginald Zachary, and also a constituent of mine in Watts. Tarmisha was only 25 when she passed away last week, and she is survived by her parents, Stephen Sr. and Marcia Zachary, her brothers, Stephen Jr. and Christopher, and her two young children, Tamia and Terrell Gray, ages 2 and 5 months. Funeral services will be held this Saturday, September 20th at 11 a.m. at Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church in Los Angeles. She will be greatly missed by her family, and we send our prayers and love to her family, particularly to her two very young children.
Ms. Perry.
President, I also wanted to just send a message to Avak, because I've worked with Avak, like so many of us, for a very, very long time, and have, I guess, tortured him on a daily basis. But one thing I can say is he has infinite patience, and that is shown here every day as he responds to our needs. But what strikes me more than anything is the affection that he used when he spoke of both of his parents. His father predeceased his mother, but they were older parents. He took good care of both of them for a very long time, along with his sister, and I'm sure that's why they've both lived such long and fulfilling lives. And I just wanted to note that and I know this is unusual for me to say things so personal, but he's a wonderful son and an attentive son and a real foundation in his whole family. I know he's looking out for his sister as well. So I just wanted to extend my sympathies for the record so that he could play this again next time we have a disagreement.
Mr. Reyes.
I just want to say my prayers are with you, Avak, and God bless.
Mr. Zine.
Alex, I've had the pleasure of doing some travel with Avak, some of the conferences, and he's always professional. He's always speaking of his family, his proud heritage, and he's served as a council member for more times than most of us. 4 times? 5 times. Served in council positions when they were vacant. So he has a lot of experience. He's always ready to assist. I remember one day we were in Utah. We went to a Harley-Davidson shop, and he bought his first pair of Harley-Davidson jeans. He was so proud that he was going to show his mom his Harley-Davidson jeans. So God bless you, Avak, and God bless your mom.
I think she told him to stop hanging around with Dennis Zine. Other tributes? Ms. Gruhl.
Sympathies to Avak. I met Avak when I was 18 years old, when I was on my way to Washington, D.C. to intern for Jim Seeley in the CLA's office. And Avak and I have worked with each other throughout the years, even when I was at HUD. And he is someone that I know his mom was very proud of, and that he has been a true staple here in the city. And our thoughts are always with one of our city family when their family or friends pass away. So Avak, we are all thinking about you today.
Avak, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. We'll see you soon. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.